Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. As you can see here, we are in fact still on StreamYard, but we're trying their paid service. So this is the test to see if it ups in quality in any way, shape, or form. Power doesn't seem to be an issue now that we upgraded the controller to the solar panels, which is fantastic. At least power isn't an issue during daylight hours because we're still running on some pretty sad lead acid battery. So come no sunshine, we'll probably end up in a place just without enough power. So other than that, the only really thing probably holding us back is our streamability and connectivity with the web, which StreamYard is all about. Now, I clicked on the local where you can record locally to potentially capture higher quality, but I ran some tests and it still seemed to be dependent on your connection to the web, which I don't get. So anyway, maybe some more bugs to work out there in communications with StreamYard's team, but we are putting in so much. I'm putting in so much time behind the scenes. It is stressful. It's a lot of work, man, because it's just like I want to be productive. Now, I know everyone is going to have, to a huge extent, behind the scenes work, and it's not always production, but it's just testing my patience. That's all. So I cannot wait to get the new Starlink modem, and hopefully that will solve some of our issues here. Until then, bear with me, just doing our best. Now, given some topics as of late, it seems like our channel is taking a big hit. And the question becomes, do we muzzle ourselves and continue down the roads that tend to trend more? Or do we continue down those roads because we're onto something? Why is it these topics, they're trying to hinder our speech? And there's a couple clips here that I have queued up that should raise some flags, some red flags in our minds and start the question within ourselves as to why these individuals, why these countries, why all the blind support, why the trillions of dollars? Because I truly believe this to be a wolves in sheep's clothing situation where they're preying on our good hearts to pull off some of the most evil, nefarious things. And yes, it's even to our detriment. Recently played a other president of another country threatening American citizens. That is unbelievable. And when you do the deep dive, you see all of our so-called leaders, supposed elected leaders, are taking all this money from those individuals. So like they're going to confront them on threatening their own citizens, they've entirely sold out. So to sum it up, I am just downright sick and tired of all the lies. I'm tired of it. But you know what is even more disturbing to me is that so many Americans are just drinking these narratives up. Now, I might be getting ahead of myself, so let's go ahead and dive into some clips and we'll kind of go from there. But before we do, let's go ahead and give a plug to Stand Up Now. Amazing apparel. You can get your God-made shirts, all sorts of freedom merch. But this here hat is up as a free gift from Unmuzzled Chat to one of the listeners here. We're nearing the end of the month. So at a random episode, we're going to pull this hat out, give a keyword. The first one to enter that keyword into Rumble wins this hat. Okay. I was just chasing my dogs and I'm still out of breath. Oh my gosh. That's what I get for being a little kid. But you need it. You got to stop and smell the roses. When you start feeling things become overwhelming, connect with God, find that balance of peace. I need to do better at it. It's a forever work for all of us. But let's go ahead and play this first clip. Douglas McGregor. Now, we've played him before. He's had some powerful statements, speeches, whatever you want to call it. but I've been pretty thoroughly, and then we're going to dive into, and this goes hand in hand with this, what he even talks about that's going to happen. We have some clips queued up as to what happened, and it just exposes the lies so clearly. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Americans, Mr. Netanyahu will visit Washington, D.C. this week. He will no doubt elaborate in private on his strategy for wider war in the Middle East. His plans should be taken seriously by every American citizen. At this moment, the war in Gaza has already destroyed or disrupted millions of lives. Precise numbers are hard to confirm, but hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and increasingly Israelis have been internally displaced, wounded, or killed. These aren't just numbers. They are shattered families and ruined lives. And yet, there are policymakers in Washington contemplating war with Iran. I ask you, if the human cost of the war in Gaza, a localized conflict, is this high, how much higher will the cost of a war with Iran be?
Right.
For decades, we've lurched from one costly conflict to another: Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and Ukraine. The price? Tens of trillions and tens of thousands of American lives. But who pays this price? Not the policymakers or defense contractors who profit from these wars.
Right.
It's the children of farmers, truckers, nurses, and plumbers who...
We need to grasp this. I don't understand as to how through their talking. I mean, I can, because we've all been blindly entrusting in these things for way too much, for far too long. But as to how they could get Americans behind this to our own detriment, it really does blow my mind.
Fight, suffer, and die. I call your attention to the testimony of an American physician who treated wounded civilians in Gaza.
By the way, disclaimer, this is graphic. The verbal and some of the visual, even though they blur it out. So any children, tune out now. It's important we understand the depths and the reality of what actually is taking place on the world stage. Because we have a president, this other country, that's visiting us, lying to our faces, and I'll bring the receipts. Proof. He claims they're being humane. They're handling things in a respectable manner. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And it does boil my blood because it's women and children that are suffering. And I'm not sitting here trying to claim like I know it all, or what I know and what it seems to me is that we are 100% being played. And it's not good. Because when you really start connecting these dots, it begins to make sense as to why they're fighting so hard to pass legislation and laws. And they already have in 38 freaking states right here that infringe on our First Amendment right, our God-given rights. And if we don't connect enough dots soon enough, it's just going to continue to where we lose the ability to even speak out on the main oppressors. And that's a problem.
I call your attention to the testimony of an American physician who treated wounded civilians in Gaza.
When were you in Gaza?
End of April for the first couple of weeks of May.
Dr. Mark Perlmutter, an orthopedic surgeon from North Carolina and vice president of the International College of Surgeons, volunteered in Gaza.
So of all the disaster zones you've seen, how does Gaza compare?
All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
In just his first week in Gaza. My gosh. Folks, you got to grasp this. This is a true testimony that was there. Were you there? What incentive does he have to speak out on this versus the others on their lies? We got to be able to properly discern here, folks.
And when you say civilians, is it mostly children?
Almost exclusively children.
Wow.
I've never seen that before. Never seen that. I've seen more incinerated children than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. I've seen more shredded children in just the first week.
Shredded?
Shredded.
What do you mean?
Missing body parts, being crushed by buildings, the greatest majority, or bomb explosions, the next greatest majority. We've taken shrapnel as big as my thumb out of 8-year-olds, and then there's sniper bullets. I have children that were shot twice.
Wait, you're saying that children in Gaza are being shot by snipers?
Definitively. I have 2 children that I have photographs of that were shot so perfectly in the chest I couldn't put my stethoscope over their heart more accurately.
Why?
And directly on the side of the head in the same child. No.
Why are they shooting children? Why? Children, unarmed children. In a lot of the cases that I've seen, it's been proven. In fact, you can even watch the unarmed civilians. Whatever. We don't need to get too graphic. Let's continue.
Toddler gets shot twice by mistake by the world's best sniper, and they're dead center shots.
In fact, more than 20 doctors recently in Gaza also told Sunday morning about gunshot wounds to children. One American doctor told us he even reviewed CT scans to confirm what he saw because he, quote, didn't believe that this many children could be admitted to a single hospital with gunshot wounds to the head. Some shootings have been captured on video.
The world of 2024 is not the world of 1991. We confront the emergence of new alliances determined to stop American meddling in the affairs of other countries. These new alliances include Iran, Russia, China, and a host of others who wait on the sidelines to join in the effort to stop Washington's reckless interventions. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov's recent warning that any conflict with Iran risks drawing in other major global powers must be taken seriously. Let me be clear. No state, especially a free democratic republic like ours, should ever threaten war unless it's fully prepared to follow through. At this point in our history, Washington knows, or should know, that our nation and armed forces are not ready for a war with major military powers 6,000 to 7,000 miles from the United States. We're close to $35 trillion in debt.
God.
This is almost 100% of our gross domestic product. We're paying $2.4 billion in interest every day.
Every day.
Everybody in Washington should have understood this a long time ago.
To
A
whom?
war with Iran would devastate.
Who are we paying all that interest to? Why are we borrowing money from a private institution and individuals, an individual business? Why is our currency not part of our government and that is privately owned? Those are the individuals that are also intertwined into all of this. Have we become so hacked and controlled at this point that we're just willing to, okay, come what may, are we going to do something about it? Our founding fathers revolted on a 2% T-tax. 2% T-tax. Do I need to remind us as to how many layers in tax we're paying today? And some voluntarily under the guise of we're supposed to, like income tax. It's time we start doing more research and our due diligence on everything. That's the blessing of the pandemic. That's the blessing of so many of the things that have taken place as of late. We can see we're an occupied country. We've been blindly trusting in way too much. And it's time to do our research. Each and every one of us has a role to play in this. And I'm not here to whatever, like, I'm just trying to motivate everyone, because the reality of it is, like, we bury our heads in the sand. We continue on even the trajectory we're on. We can't put everything on the shoulders of one man. We all must ensure the proper direction. The direction we is one people, one nation under God should see to the direction of this country.
Devastate our economy. Imagine the Straits of Hormuz, a narrow sea highway between Iran and Arab countries, closed. Every day, 1/5 of the world's oil travels through this passage. If war shuts it down, gas prices would skyrocket, affecting everything from your daily commute to the cost of groceries. We're already feeling the punch from Houthi disruptions in the Red Sea. Now picture that problem multiplied many times over. A full-scale war with Iran wouldn't just be an inconvenience. It would trigger an economic crisis that would hit every American family hard, potentially leading to job losses, fortunes wiped out, and a deep recession. And let's not forget, at the outset of every conflict, those advocating for war are always convinced it will be short and decisive. History shows that they are nearly always wrong.
Right.
We've seen this before in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Ukraine.
Right.
Strategies fail, yet instead of reassessment, we double down on failure.
Yeah.
The same think tanks, pundits, and contractors push for more conflict, more spending, more sacrifice from others. This isn't just a failure of strategy, it's a failure of accountability. We
Right.
must remember that the first priority in national military strategy is the security and preservation of the nation itself. Any action that could put the survival of our state at risk must be avoided at all costs.
Right.
A war with Iran with its potential to escalate into a global conflict, poses just such a risk.
Yes, it does.
This is where you come in. Call your representatives, express your displeasure.
Perfect.
Remind them of the reality at home. 70% of Americans still live paycheck to paycheck, struggling with high food and fuel prices. To our policymakers, before pledging support for military action against Iran or any other country, consider the welfare of your constituents.
Yes. I just want you to know that it's all been ramped up by design to squeeze every last drop to where we are too wrapped up feeding ourselves and whatnot that we won't take the action to call our representatives. So it's intentionally being done. So we'll accept the digital currency. We'll accept the handouts given as they cull the herd. Or are we going to seize this and not allow rulers to entirely dictate our lives, and we'll gain back our freedoms and a thriving economy? It can be done. We live in such a blessed time that if we, the people, stand up and unite effectively, gosh dang, it's worth fighting for. It's worth dying for. It's why I can't give up on the censored topics. I gotta dive in on them, even to Unmuzzled Chat's detriment and steeper uphill battle. It's crazy, but you gotta understand the intent and what we're trying to accomplish here. We must cut the head off the snake.
The single mother working 2 jobs, the veteran battling PTSD, the young couple postponing family because they can't afford a home. Are you willing to tell them their suffering is worth another war? The self-defeating policy of open-ended military interventions with unattainable military objectives must end. Americans must break the cycle of unaccountable decision-making and recognize that America's true strength lies not in our ability to wage war, but in our capacity to build peace.
Yes.
A peace that benefits the United States and the world. Americans, your country needs you now, not to fight in foreign lands, but to fight here at home for prosperity and peace,
Right.
for accountability, and for a government that puts your needs first.
It's not war against other countries' people we should be even considering. It's the war of ruling out the rulers that are trying to instigate all of this. So the few that are trying to pit the many against each other to their own nefarious agendas. We got to be able to see this, folks. It isn't that complicated. And I might not speak it in the most beautiful, profound ways, but thank God, and I mean it when I say that there are patriots out there that are painting the whole picture very well. And I'm thankful for that. So if this isn't lighting that fire, then shoot, check out those patriots. Stu Peters is one of them. I don't understand. Charlie Kirk has seemed to entirely, I don't know. I'd have to look into it. Is he taking money from so many patriots? I don't get it. They're doing so much good on so many other levels, but on some of, in my eyes, the most important. Anyway, let's drive this point home first, shall we?
Call your representatives.
Yes.
Speak out in your communities.
Yes.
Let the halls of power echo with the voice of Americans who believe America's needs for peace and prosperity must come first. Thank you for listening. And may God bless you, these United States, with the wisdom and courage to secure
Yes.
a peaceful and prosperous future for everyone.
Amen. Yes. Great calls to action. I could only imagine if we would sit down. I mean, you need to be boycotting Netflix regardless. I believe they just put $7 million towards like Kamala's campaign. Anyone that still has an active Netflix account, your money went towards that. You are supporting that. You want to be a part of the solution or be a part of the problem. And think about it for a second. You take those Netflix funds and now you put those funds towards someone like Unmuzzled Chat out on the front lines trying to expose, trying to fuel the change for the better. It's a double positive. Well, let's not get too wrapped up and all that. We really do need more people supporting our affiliations or even charitably supporting what we're doing in order to even continue what we're doing. I don't know how else to put it. So I just really hope and pray people see the intent. Okay. So Douglas McGregor just went over the meeting that was about to take place with Netanyahu right here on USA soil. And let's go ahead and play some of that meeting. Netanyahu to Congress, and they applauded. Like, clearly he's disgusted, and so am I. And I stated, I am so sick and tired of the lies, and the dumb Americans eating it up. The proof of the lies is overwhelming, and is easier than ever before to see it. Why people choose to be blind at this point to their detriment blows my freaking mind. Help us and share. Okay, there's some graphic images to this too. But he just spoke, and we applauded him. Why? So, like, the majority of people surrounding him are taking money from AIPAC. It's no secret.
I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed two.
Do I need to remind you of in the clip, the doctor? Do we need to go back to that? This man is blatantly lying to our Congress, to our news media, to all Americans. It is disgusting. How? How can evil? How? Like, this is nothing other than evil, that you're trying to cover up the murder of innocent men, women, and children. This is proof. Let's play a little bit more, and let's go back and hear the doctor to really let it sink in.
The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said.
Practically none. Look, they're also providing in this very clip the double screen, the proof, and all the children that have died and have been injured.
We could never do, but we did it. The war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare.
Based on these lies, we should dissociate with Israel yesterday. How could we be in cahoots with such evil? I'm telling you, folks, you can't make this stuff up with all these glitches. It's driving me nuts. I'm trying my best over here, folks. Let's get back into the screen share.
I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot.
How can you lie?
And unintentionally killed 24 people?
To that magnitude, to we the people, we all know better. Have you seen how much live footage is being live streamed? And the footage is indisputable. And this man is lying to us as though it's not, and that they're being civil? Unbelievable.
The answer is practically none. You want to know why?
What a piece.
Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do, but we did it.
Lies.
The war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare.
Lies.
This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Wow. I'd venture to say he's right. But the way he's virtue signaling as being civil, that's wrong. He's just got it backwards. Barbarism from his end, other way around. What a buffoon. And we applaud him. Now, luckily, that lady's not amused. Not everyone has drank that Kool-Aid. Thankfully, golly.
It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life.
Once again, correct. And Netanyahu seems to be on the side of glorifying death. Disgusting.
They killed parents in front of their children
Lies.
and children in front of their parents. America and Israel must stand together, because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
It's appalling. I cannot believe as to, you know what, I guess it's not surprising. You connect everyone into that room and look into, they've already sold out, or they're entirely just drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, this isn't a clip or anything. Let's just share this screen here. Right there. 100% agree, unfortunately. Quote, no matter how paranoid or conspiracy-minded you are, what the government is actually doing is worse. Far worse than you can even imagine. Former U.S. Senate Department employee. The only way we get to the bottom of all of this is getting engaged and rolling it out right here in our country. We could start by calling our representatives, speaking out in our communities, promoting podcasts such as this, sharing it, getting more people amped up. When is enough enough? I just had a recent call with someone I love dearly. They're struggling financially. Their kids are struggling financially. And it's all intentionally being done. So we're so wrapped up and distracted that we're not even putting in the work to do our due diligence and see the real threat. It's at hand, yet taking action on it. And it's imperative, it's crucial to our future that we do just that. And I pray we gain that type of strength, that clarity. It's the last page on identity from the 1 Minute Prayer book. Child of God, this is how we know who the children of God are and who the children of the devil are. Anyone who does not do what is right is not a child of God, nor is anyone who does not love his brother. 1 John 3:10. It continues. Lord, do I love enough? Do I pass along your goodness to other people? I want to be known as a child of God, where I am resistant to show love or express your mercy. Open up my heart. If I am quick to judge and slow to help another person, push me into action. I get so caught up trying to be who I am in the world that I forget how to be your son or daughter. I seek balance where these two identities should merge, Lord. Help me pare away characteristics and sins that do not represent you. My Heavenly Father, let me be your hands and your heart wherever I may go. Amen. We need more of that in this world. All right. Let's read from Jesus' Calling, July 26. Relax and let me lead you through this day. I have everything under control. My control. You tend to peer anxiously into the day that is before you, trying to figure out what to do and when. Meanwhile, the phone or the doorbell rings, and you have to reshuffle your plans. All that planning ties you up in knots and distracts you from me. Attentiveness to me is not only for your quiet time, but for all your time as you look to me. I show you what to do now and next. Vast quantities of time and energy are wasted in obsessive planning. When you let me direct your steps, you are set free to enjoy me and to find what I have prepared for you this day. Boy, I even have a lot of work to do. But then again, he set me on this path. I feel so strongly that amongst all the war tactics and everything we are facing, we have grave opportunity as God's children to gain more favor, more so in God's graces, and have more of a positive, blessed impact in this world we live in, which would bring more peace and less needless suffering to so many around the world. There's some scripture references here. I challenge you to dive into the Bible. We have Psalm 32:8, Psalm 119:35, and Psalm 143:8. I can't wait to dive into those as soon as we wrap up. We have great opportunity right here at our feet. Once again, has it ever been clearer than it is right now? Let's rule out this two-tiered infrastructure. No longer rules for me and not for thee. There's lots to do. Not any one of us can shoulder that burden. We just must play our part. And I pray that we all do just that. Now, there's some things that I feel we could do that will enhance that. And is by taking care of this gift, this temple, our body, this miraculous gift, there's lots we could do to enhance its function. And we must take the threats of the evil one more seriously and its war tactics. It's been poisoning our minds, poisoning our emotion and our bodies for far too long. The single greatest breakthrough I have found to detoxifying the body from these poisons, metals, and things of that nature is none other than Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket. Our affiliation that you could click the link below, get 15% off all their products. You can actually increase the detoxifying on the heavy metals and forever chemicals by adding in the Masterpiece tincture. That link is also below. If you're in Arizona, there's Unchained Wellness Clinic. They are on the leading edge on testing protocols and bringing in protocols that are really revolutionary to a lot of people's lives. And the testimonials are only building and building. Check them out. Schedule your free infrared sauna sesh and cold plunge. Just mention Unmuzzled Chat. Now I truly feel there are some grave challenges ahead. The more you're prepared, the less challenging it will be. And the single greatest investment you could do in your preparedness, in my eyes, is getting an EMP shield on your vehicle. Getting one on your home, getting one on your solar. Now, you could click the link below, order from them, or simply enter Unmuzzled Chat. Or is it Unmuzzled? I need to check that. My gosh. We are in dire need of your support in order to continue on doing what we're doing. It's not some charitable thing we're asking for. We want to continue showing up on the front lines on your behalf. So it's more so an investment in your future. And I hope you could see that. And that's just going to take some funding, period. And any amount would help greatly. And we have a Buy Me a Coffee link. We have a direct link to a Venmo, Cash App, and even a GoFundMe. Folks, I'm still in the throes of Lyme. I'm still spending over $1,000 every month just on Lyme protocol. It's more, probably double that. It's been a lot. And I genuinely can't imagine going back to swinging a hammer to selfishly build up my bank account when war is being waged upon us. But it truly is coming to a point. If we can't grow this with the algorithms or get enough folks to invest in what we're trying to accomplish, I just don't know how we're going to continue. I guess if it's in God's will, He'll find a way. I'm so grateful for all your support and for every one of you that continually keep showing up and sharing these episodes and doing your part and all you can do. Thank you. We'll end with Black Eagle Apparel. Go get some Freedom merch. Support us by getting an Unmuzzled Chat You just got to browse through their page there. It's on there. All sorts of different colors and sizes. Order yours today. With that, that's a wrap. I just want to help peel back the layers so we can really hone in on the true issues we're facing. And hopefully with exposing that will give us more guidance as to properly addressing and steering this country in the right direction. That being said, God bless you. God bless America. Until next time, take care.